Central Mexico is one of the most historic regions in all of the Americas, with deep pre-Columbian heritage and a wealth of ornate colonial towns dating to the silver boom of the 15 and 1600s. Among these architectural riches, one city far off the tourist circuit stands out today for its exemplary street design, centering the experience of pedestrians and keeping its ornate urban fabric in the spotlight. San Luis Potosí offers a standout example of what cities and car-centric societies can do to filter traffic in their oldest neighborhoods, and the solutions are remarkably simple, with adaptable lessons for historic cities across the globe, from New Orleans to Old Montreal to Central Prague. So, let's dive in and explore the walkable urbanism of San Luis Potosí. Welcome to Urban Americas, a channel about modern cities with historic heritage and how they make the most of it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content from Mexico and across the continent. San Luis is located in north-central Mexico, on the country's high plateau, roughly equidistant from Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Monterrey. The city's founding in 1592 makes it older than almost any European settlement in the present-day US or Canada, excluding only the Spanish settlement at St. Augustine, Florida, and the cities of Puerto Rico. A reminder of how much older cities in the former Spanish Empire can be than their Anglophone peers elsewhere in the New World. The city was originally founded for the exploitation of a nearby gold and silver mine. But unlike in other early colonial boomtowns like Taxco or Guanajuato, the mines themselves did not have a nearby water source, so the city was founded 5 kilometers away from the mines on the floor of a nearby valley. This flat geography has allowed it to grow in recent centuries to a metro population of around 1.3 million. At the heart of San Luis Potosí is the Centro Histórico, a Spanish colonial city of elegant plazas, anchored by lavish churches and civic buildings, each no more than a couple blocks from the next. These plazas and churches are quite remarkable in their own right, but what stands out to me about San Luis is how well the street design supports these grand buildings and public spaces. So many old cities, across Mexico, the Americas, and beyond, let their great urban fabric go to waste by over-designing their streets for cars. All across the country, quaint narrow streets from hundreds of years ago have been retrofitted with tiny sidewalks and roadways that take up some 80% of the space between buildings. On wider streets, it's common to find car parking on both sides of the street, eating into pedestrian space and blocking the view of the heritage buildings. For the most part, though, this isn't the case with San Luis. Narrow streets tend to have wide sidewalks, narrow lanes for traffic, and no parking. And even on 2-lane rights-of-way, street parking is almost non-existent. It's amazing what a difference it makes to have a historic street with no parked cars blocking the views. The paving material makes a big difference as well. With the street surface acting as the fifth facade, these stone pavers do wonders in preserving the feel of an important old city. Anywhere you go in the Centro, you'd be hard-pressed to find an asphalt street surface. And check out this great curb detail too. I love the way the sidewalk overhangs the street, making that subtle little shadow line underneath the sidewalk edge. And topping it all off, a network of pedestrian-only streets provides the backbone for what might well be the most walkable city center in all of Mexico. At the heart of the city is the Plaza de Armas, anchored by the Metropolitan Cathedral and the State Palace of Government. The cathedral, completed in 1730, makes a landmark statement with its pink stone facade and ornate Baroque detailing. From all sides of the square, pedestrian streets radiate out a block or more in each direction, extending the relaxed urban vibe of the plaza out into surrounding side streets, and shaping a lively network of car-free spaces right at the heart of the city. Where these streets meet car traffic, gates filter vehicles arriving for emergencies and government business. In the last decade, Mexican cities like San Miguel de Allende and Mexico City have taken similar steps to pedestrianize not only their main plazas, but also the surrounding blocks, and I hope this is something that can catch on across the country. In practically any direction from the Plaza de Armas, another square is only a few blocks away. To the south, the Jardín de San Francisco is surrounded by one-lane, cobblestone streets, and is anchored by its namesake church. Trees, fountains, and pedestrian alleys make this a well-worn public space. I was visiting on the weekend of St. Francis Day, so I got to see this priest out front giving blessings to the neighborhood pets. A few blocks to the east, down more single-lane streets, the Temple of San Augustín sits on one of the few streets in the centro with parked cars on it. While its plaza is far from the nicest in the city, it still offers a shady place to sit and a peaceful sanctuary inside the church. While San Augustín is built in a more restrained, neoclassical style, the majority of the city's old churches show off the intricate details and spindly columns of the Churrigueresque style. And nowhere is this Baroque style more pronounced than on the facade of the Church of Del Carmen, where ornate detailing carved into the local pink stone showcases the opulence of the ruling class in San Luis's mining heyday. Notice the corn motifs carved into the columns, and the squash, beans, and cactus fruit in the detailing to the right, a reminder that while Spanish architects drew the plans, indigenous workers set the stone and shaped the detailing. The church's square, Plaza del Carmen, sits just a few blocks east of the Plaza de Armas, and might just be the grandest plaza in town. With gorgeous buildings like its namesake church and the Teatro de la Paz, the square sets a dramatic backdrop for city life that's only enhanced through the placement of fountains, trees, and benches. It's no wonder that so many people are out and about in a people-scaled place like this. Walking north, we leave behind the chain stores and tourist shops of the heart of the centro, but the great urban fabric continues. This area has more of a local and working-class feel to it, with a number of market buildings and mom-and-pop commercial streets crisscrossing the area. While there are a few more cars out on the streets in this neighborhood, there are still plenty of great pedestrian streets interspersed. One benefit of San Luis's wide-reaching pedestrian network is that it seems to have enough people-first streets to prevent them all being taken over with by expensive boutiques and corporate chain stores, unlike in cities with just one or two pedestrian streets, which often become quickly gentrified. Here, there's no shortage of storefronts with local, independent businesses with frontage on pleasant, if unremarkable, pedestrian streets. Rounding out the public squares at the heart of San Luis is Plaza Fundadores. This plaza is a bit less pleasant than some of the others because it is built over an underground parking garage. While this buried parking certainly helps to keep parked cars off the streets, it increases traffic in its vicinity and means that there's no soil beneath the plaza to plant trees into. I hope that as the city continues to grow, it can improve its transit access to the centro to relieve some of this pressure to drive in and find a place to park. On this note, San Luis is certainly not perfect when it comes to pedestrian infrastructure. I only had time to film in the city center, but much of the rest of San Luis does not have the same level of great sidewalks, safe crossings, or modal filters. Even within the historic center, there are a few wide streets with narrow sidewalks and faster traffic. Still, the absence of on-street parking for the most part means that these streets are much more pleasant than in comparable historic cities across North America. Can you think of a North American city center with better pedestrian infrastructure? I'm hard-pressed to name one. On the whole, the Car-lite street network across the centro is remarkably extensive, making the city center the place to be as the sun goes down on San Luis. Wide paths, hidden alleyways, and relaxed plazas punctuate a city designed for people. Leading from the south of the centro up to the Plaza de Armas, Calle Ignacio Zaragoza is the city's longest pedestrian street and really comes alive when the sun goes down, being full of benches, vendors, and street performers. Plaza de Armas is buzzing with a full orchestra in the bandstand, clowns perform in the Plaza del Carmen, and in a square to the south, a temporary carnival is in full swing, welcoming families from across San Luis Potosí. Because San Luis is located between North and Central Mexico, at the center of the country's three largest cities, it has a key role to play in the government's efforts to rebuild its passenger rail network in the next decade, with a prominent stop on the route connecting Mexico City north to Monterrey. Just to the east of the Centro Histórico, the Alameda anchors the city's railroad museum, a former station that may soon see service resume. While out of service today, this former station still has platforms visible in the rear, and with some improvements to the congested roads out front, could provide an excellent point of arrival into the heart of San Luis Potosí. The Alameda itself is pleasant and shady, but it too suffers from being surrounded by multi-lane roads. Hopefully, the return of the train will help spur the city to improve these crossings from the Alameda into the heart of the historic center. While it's far from a tourist hotspot today, I'm interested to see if this coming rail service puts San Luis on the map for travelers from across Mexico, North America, and beyond. Cities like Guanajuato may take the cake for stunning views and gorgeous old buildings, but I can't think of a single city in Mexico that can match San Luis's walkability and proximity of great plazas to one another. San Luis also has a remarkable collection of art museums for a city this size, with single artist museums highlighting the work of Leonora Carrington and Federico Silva, two standout artists of Mexico's late 20th century, on top of a number of other galleries and museums. With all this in mind, I won't be surprised if San Luis grows to be a well-known tourism destination in the next couple of decades. In the meantime, I hope this video can serve as a lesson to the stewards of historic cities across the continent and around the world, that you don't need a car-lite city to have a people-first city center. Historic cities in car-dependent societies can struggle to limit cars in their historic cores, making their oldest neighborhoods some of the most unpleasant to walk in. In the Anglosphere, historic districts have strict codes that limit architecture to historic styles only, and then let their streets fill up with cars that block the historic views. But San Luis shows that old cities don't have to build Dutch-level infrastructure to shape a world-class pedestrian experience in their historic center. And with urban fabric like this, how could you not want to optimize for people? What I found so inspiring about San Luis Potosí was the way that the city leveraged its great urban design, inherited from the 1500s and 1600s, with fantastic contemporary street design to keep that urban fabric front and center. Thanks for watching Urban Americas. In the next video, we're headed to northern Mexico's big city, Monterrey, to explore this underappreciated metropolis and study how its three-line metro system is transforming it into Latin America's northernmost transit powerhouse. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the upstart urbanism of Monterrey.